All right, you guys. So the last thing that we're going to do before we get into walking through building out your very first campaign is we're going to get into some audience creation. So audiences, we mentioned before, really the bread and butter of Facebook and Instagram and are part of what makes this platform such a powerful tool. And these audiences obviously couldn't exist without other data. So we could do some saved audiences, which we'll re-explain, but the custom audiences and the lookalike audiences really exist because of our pixel, with the exception of one or two of those audiences. And so again, just reiterating the power of all of these pieces to the puzzle and how they all play in together and they're all connected. So we're going to show you how to pre-create these audiences utilizing Audience Manager, which is another one of the tools that you have inside of your Facebook Business Manager. And it's going to help save you time and allow you to be more efficient later. So just a quick little audience refresher here before we get into it. So saved audiences, this is a little less data heavy based on things that you've collected and maybe more data heavy on your assumptions. So if you're early stages and maybe haven't quite figured out who your audience is yet, so you can create your ideal customer persona inside of these saved audiences using, gender, age, location, behaviors, all of those things to really create different segments of people that you're like, okay, we know that we think that we're after females that are between X age and so on and so forth. And so again, this audience creation process is really to help streamline your campaign creation process. So making these ahead of time and just knowing that you're targeting an ideal customer persona is great. Next is our custom audiences. So we are utilizing collected data either through our email list or our website activity or our social media platforms to create audiences of people who have specifically already interacted with our businesses. So this could be website visitors from the last 30 days. This could be Instagram engagement from the last 180 days. This could be, people who have made a purchase on the site in the last 45 days. So there's a variety of different factors that we could use here on these custom audiences. And then the lookalike audiences are utilizing our custom audiences and basically trying to find people that look and interact and shop just like those people who already interacted with our businesses. So lookalike audiences, we would take, say our purchasers of the last 45 days, and then we would tell Facebook to create a lookalike audience that is within 1% of people who purchased from our site in the last 45 days. So it's gonna take into factor gender and age and interest and in social media engagement, their habits, and it's now gonna serve our ads out to people who look just like people who have already interacted with our site. So just a brief audience refresher before we jump into actually full-on audience creation here. Okay, you guys, so we are back into our Facebook Business Manager over here on the left-hand side where I see the three dots. I'm going to go in here. You're going to click Audiences. So I click Audiences. It's going to take me right back into this screen. You can see over here on the side that because we manage multiple accounts, have multiple people's ad accounts here. So if for some reason you have multiple accounts, you just want to make sure that you're creating audiences for the correct account. Otherwise, once you get into your campaign creation, you're not going to be able to access them. So we're going to create ours inside of Honest Ecommerce. We have a whole list of audiences that you can create listed in our supplementary materials, but we're going to walk through just a couple today. So we're going to go through and do website visitors from the last 30 days, Instagram engagement of the last 365 days, Facebook engagement from the last 30 days, and then purchasers of the last 180 days. Ours is going to be slightly different on the purchasers front because our honest e-commerce site does not register purchases, but we'll show you just the simple creation process of that. And then we're going to make lookalike audiences off of each of those as well. So a list of all of these and the steps are in your supplementary materials as well, but we'll go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go over to the left-hand side here. I'm going to click create audience. We're starting out, like I said, with our custom audiences. So we're going to do our website visitors the last 30 days. So I'm going to click custom audience here. Next, you'll see all of these different options. So there's a ton of different choices here about how your audience has been engaging with you and how you want to use that data to create an audience here. So for our purposes, we're going to click website, but obviously you can see over here, we've got Instagram account, we've got Facebook page. If you had an app, we've got app activity, customer list. This is great. We'll discuss this briefly when talking about your email platform provider and whatnot. So we're going to start here with our website. So because we're looking for website visitors the last 30 days, I'm going to click website. Next is going to come up. Double check again that you've got the right pixel in here. And then here I've got different things. So we've got events. We've got specific capture ideas. So all website visitors, people who visited a specific web page, visitors by time spent. So I want all website visitors and then in the past 30 days. So we don't have to change this. I'm going to go down here to name my audience. I'm going to say website visitors. Visitor last 30 days. And then just for our purposes, I'm going to test just so that we know that this is a test one for us. Obviously, you can go up here. We've got include more people. So you can add some people in or you can exclude people. So I want all web visitors, but I want to exclude anybody who signed up as a lead in the last 30 days. So some more niche things you can get into, but we're going to stick with just our website visitors in the last 30 days. I'm going to click create audience. So right away, I could go into create a lookalike audience here, or I could go right into create an ad. So I can click on either of these options. For these purposes, we're going to go through and create all of our audiences and go back through and then create our lookalikes. But if we wanted to, we could go right into this creation process here. So I'm going to click done. We're going to jump back in here just so you can see. So type, this is the type of audience. So custom, lookalike, saved. Size, this is going to take a second to populate. So it's got to run through your pixel data and it'll tell you roughly, not exactly, but roughly the size. Availability means ready. Availability says ready. And that just means that you can utilize this ad. And then if I click on this, which we'll go back to in a second and talk about lookalike audience creation. Now I can go in here and I can say create lookalike. So I'm going to exit out of this, go back in. We've got 3 more audiences that we're going to create. So I'm going to click create audience. Again, I'm clicking custom audience. Now I want to do my Instagram engagement. So I'm going to click Instagram account, Honest Ecommerce. So everyone who engaged with your professional account in the past 360 days. Now I can change what that engagement means. So for our purposes, everyone who engaged means people who visited your profile, people who liked, shared, commented on any of your posts. But if I want to be more specific, I can go in here. We've got anyone who visited your profile, engaged, who sent a message. So if you are someone who's got a lot of DMs on your Instagram account, or saved any posts or ads. So again, another option to narrow things down a little bit more. If you've got people who are highly engaged, or people who are maybe not as engaged as you'd like them to be, we can retarget them with ads. So ours is already set up here. Everyone who engaged with your professional account in the past 365 days. I'm going to go down here and name my account, my audience, Instagram engagement, last 365 days. Create. I didn't put test on this one, but you get the idea. Go back in another time. We're creating another custom audience here. So now I'm going to my Facebook page. So I've got Facebook business page right here. Click Facebook business page. I want to double check my page here because I have access to so many business pages here that I want to make sure I'm using the correct one. So I'm clicking Honest Ecommerce here. Again, everyone who engaged with your page, but we're going to change this. We just want a slightly smaller demographic here. So I just want 30 days instead of 365. And you can change this again. So anyone who visited your page, people who engaged with a post, people who clicked on any call to action button. So the options here are good, but we want a little bit more broad, a little bit more sweeping here. So everyone who engaged, and then I'm going to come down here and say Facebook page engagement last 30 days. We'll put test, even though I forgot to do it on our last one. Create audience. And we're going back in one last time. So this last one, we are not going to be able to create exactly on Honest Ecommerce. So let me bounce out really quickly and show you on another one of our partners who does have purchase as an option. So I would go into same process. So custom audiences, website. Make sure your pixel's correct. So now in my events options in this drop down, I have page view, view content, add to cart, initiate checkout, search, purchase, add payment info. So all of those standard pixel events that we talked about already are in here. So now I'm going to click purchase. Now, purchase, you start to run into some rules. So Facebook is not going to let me put more days in the past than 180 with my purchases. So I only want 180 days in here. That's the max I can go. I can make it 90, I can make it 30, but I cannot go more than 180 days into the past. And then I would come down here, same process, and I would put purchasers last 180 days, and then I click create audience. We're not going to do this. We're going to jump back over to our Honest Ecommerce to create our lookalike audiences. So now I've got these 3 audiences in here that I just created. They're still populating, so Facebook hasn't had a chance to look at the size of those audiences in total yet. But now I'm going to look at creating my lookalike audiences. So I'm going to show you how to do this on one of them. It's the same process for all of them. So we'll just do it with our website visitors here. So I'm going to click website visitors, actions, create lookalike. So now I've got a new screen. So you do have to double check this. It's going to just ask you to select it again. Facebook sometimes can be a little finicky in that way. Then we go to audience size. So I only want to create one lookalike audience here. I don't need multiple that have the same percentage. Their percentages here mean in similarity. So basically what we're saying here is 1% is essentially saying within 1% or 99% similar to your current audience. So if I say a 1% lookalike audience, I'm saying I want people who look 99% similar to my website visitors in the last 30 days. If I say 10%, I'm saying I want people who look 90% similar to my website visitors in the last 30 days. Now, that's not an exact accurate number. So 10% gets a little bit broader than 90, and 1% maybe isn't exactly 99% similar. But just to conceptualize, 1% means people who are closer in relation to whatever my current custom audience is. 10% means I'm broadening out. So maybe the 10% audience is male and female versus my 1% audience is only male or only female. So we start to broaden the pool a little bit more as we get wider. And then I'm just going to click create audience. One thing to note here, it's automatically going to create this lookalike 1% with the name. If your custom audience is too small, you will not be able to create a lookalike audience. So even I know that this says below 1,000, but it allowed me to create that lookalike audience, which means that this isn't actually below 1,000. If your custom audience is below 1,000, you're not going to be allowed to create a lookalike audience inside of this audience manager. So that's the gist and the general overview of this audience creation. We didn't walk through creating a saved audience. It's very, very similar, but not as powerful here. So you're really just going to get into what we'll do actually in our campaign creation. So I'm going to set my ages, 18 to 45. I might say I only want to target certain states. So we'll say, I only want to target California and New York. And I can set my targeting here in this saved audience. Language, I only want to target English speakers. Demographic, and so on and so forth. So these saved audiences are good, but they're most likely not going to be as strong as your custom audiences. And you can create them here in Audience Manager just to save yourself some time if you know that there's different kind of ideal customer personas that you want to test, but not necessary, because you can also build these out strictly in your campaign creation process. All right, you guys. So just a couple of additional notes. So we mentioned that there are more audiences that you can create, and we've got a full list for you in that supplementary materials section. So make sure to go and check that out. Get all of those audiences built out for yourself, from custom audiences to lookalike audiences for each of them. The next thing that we didn't want to cover, it's kind of a wide-ranging thing in terms of platform providers. So you can connect your email service directly to Facebook, either straight in. So if you utilize Klaviyo as your email service provider, you can connect Klaviyo direct into Facebook. If you are on MailChimp, there is a pretty simple connection through utilizing Zapier. There's a ton of email service providers, and almost all of them have a way to connect directly into your Facebook to both send email information into Facebook for audience creation purposes, or to collect leads information out of Facebook and send it into your email service provider. So there's a variety of connection points. We'll provide a couple of resources on that for the main email service providers in your supplementary materials. So make sure to check those out. If you don't want to bother with a connection, you can download a customer CSV file either from your email service provider, or if you have it in Shopify, if you've got a large customer list in Shopify, you can download that and upload a CSV file into your audience manager. We showed you that button that you could click on during the custom audience creation. We would recommend, if you can, to download that customer file from your Shopify account with the customer values attached to it. It's going to allow Facebook to create to create audiences more targeted on people who were higher purchases or had higher values. And also, if you create a lookalike audience off of that, it's going to make a lookalike audience based on people who had similar purchase patterns. So definitely something to check out and get familiar with. And as I mentioned, there's some additional resources in your supplementary materials guide on how to do that. We mentioned the audience percentages and the audience minimum. So, lookalike audience percentages. What does 1% versus 10% mean? 1% being more similar, 10% being less similar, and those audience minimum. So it's not exact. And sometimes your matching in Facebook is going to be tough. So even if you upload 1,500 emails, it might only be able to match 750 of them. So try not to get too frustrated. The larger email lists that you can provide, or the more website visitors you have, the more data points that Facebook has to collect, the stronger it's going to be regardless. So generally that audience minimum is about 1,000 in order to create your lookalike audiences. So that's all we've got here for this module number 2. We covered our account creation, our business manager creation, our catalog creation. We connected all of our assets and basically got ourselves set up to build out our first campaign. And so we will see you in the next one as we talk about ad account hierarchy, ad copy, ad creative, and get into that final nitty gritty on creating your first campaign.